Last time on Kimchi no Video. And by last time, I actually mean quite a while back. And there you have it. When you really get down to it, LoveLive is very, very punk rock. At least the ideas, theories, and ways of life that it represents in this show, yeah, they're pretty punk rock. Well, it finally happened. I watched the second season of LoveLive School Idol Project. Yes, the original series with Muse before all of the other units started to magically appear all over the place. So that means I really achieved something. I watched this anime. And I'm glad that I waited a while after watching the first season to get my next idol fix because honestly, the first season was just so good. I wanted to build up some anticipation for the second half of this legendary saga, all about this legendary group of legendary anime girls making legendary music, the music they wanted to make on their own terms. Ah, the stuff of legends. Yes, I'm very aware that some people don't take idol music and the idol scene itself seriously, but to me, that means that that person doesn't know a whole lot about it. As I've continued to learn more and more about this stuff, it just gets more and more unique as I go along. The idol scene is truly its own thing, and when it comes to music subcultures, that's hard to find sometimes. And just like any other music scene, it has its fair share of problems, some of which are pretty egregious to say the very least in the world of idols. But in the world of LoveLive specifically, things are always just so happy and wholesome. So it really shouldn't surprise anyone when I say that I loved this second season. There was just something so comforting and powerful about the whole thing. Felt like I was hanging out with a group of old friends, and sometimes you just need that. This anime was truly otaku comfort food to the highest degree. Just like grandma used to make, assuming your grandma made anime girls that could dance and sing. But if you haven't experienced the second season of LoveLive School Idol Project yourself, or maybe even the first season for that matter, I'm sure you're asking yourself, what's the whole thing even about? Well, the first season was about a gaggle of anime girls starting an idol group in a very punk rock fashion and being super awesome. Nico was one of those girls, and she's a true weirdo, which means she is obviously best girl. And I think that pretty much summarizes everything pretty well. And then in the second season, the whole gang is back, including Nico, of course. And the show follows their journey as they write new music, perform more shows, and ultimately face their upcoming demise, graduation. They are school idols after all. There's a little bit more to it than that, but if you have not watched it, just go do that right now because today we have more important things to discuss. The thing about the first season of LoveLive is that, as mentioned in the last Kimchi no Video episode about the series, it was pretty punk rock. So how about the second season? Well, things have changed, but luckily not too much. As the girls mature and take on new challenges, something changes in them. And we all know what eventually happens to any good band if they stick around long enough to actually change and possibly even mature, right? They get bad. Because I think we can all agree it's better to burn out in flames as opposed to fading away in the corner of a dive bar somewhere in Wisconsin. And nowhere is that more evident in the idol scene or the punk rock scene. Two music scenes that favor youth over longevity 100% of the time. And okay, I know that not every punk band necessarily gets bad as they get older or more successful, but have you checked in on Black Flag in a while? I rest my case. While a few bands might age like fine wine, I think most would agree that a lot of punk bands do eventually destroy what they spent so long building up, even if the outcome is worth it for the band financially and the new, usually larger, fan base in the end. Sure, most of these bands started writing songs and building their scene around DIY ethics, but eventually everyone needs to get paid. That's just how it works. And that's how a band like AFI ended up on DreamWorks Records in the early 2000s with Sing the Sorrow being released between the Biker Boys soundtrack and the latest from Blackstreet. And even with a band like AFI that worked hard to expand their sound over time, gradually building a larger audience the entire time, this was a far cry from their roots playing hardcore shows in smelly clubs with Strife and Sick of It All. However, there's something different about Black Flag's nosedive into becoming a parody and AFI's gradual climb to sharing stages with bands like Outkast and the Arcade Fire. From the beginning, AFI actively changed their sound every couple of years, evolving from a hardcore band to a goth punk act to the poster boys for the emo scene, and eventually settling into their roles as the elder statesmen of every scene that they touched along the way, from punk to goth to hardcore and everything in between. And yes, the band was met with a lot of criticism when they did make a deal with a greedy corporate label, but they always seemed to stay true to their vision at the end of the day. Sing the Sorrow would have sounded pretty much the same no matter what label released it, and eventually people stopped complaining about whatever label they were associated with regardless, because their vision continued to change and evolve for years to come. And they always stayed true to that vision no matter how big or small their label or audience were. So, how does all of this actually relate to LoveLive School Idol Project Season 2? Well, let me tell you, just like AFI, LoveLive is artistic integrity. Okay, I know it might not seem that way from the outside. I get it. LoveLive is, and always will be, a giant behemoth of the entertainment industry, spitting out more best girls, songs, and merch than any sane person could actually ever handle. But hear me out. We're not looking at the overall machine that is LoveLive the franchise. No, not even close. Remember, we're looking at the second season of the original TV series. And if the first season was all about punk rock, then the second season can surely be about something like artistic integrity, right? Right. The second season opens with Hanukkah deciding that the girls don't need to participate in the next LoveLive performance. For those unaware, LoveLive is the big contest of the series for all of the school idols. If you're a school idol, you want to win the LoveLive, hence the name of the show. However, when she realizes that some of the group's lineup will be graduating sooner than later, thus disqualifying them from participating, she has a change of heart, since they have to achieve this together. And while it might not necessarily be artistic per se, this is the first time in the season we see the true integrity of Hanukkah shining through. Now, if we could just get her to have a conversation with Greg Ginn, maybe the entire world could become a better place. Anyway, as a result, the girls get ready to jump back into their idol outfits and reclaim what is so rightfully theirs one last time. From here, we see the girls preparing for the big event in many different ways, from practicing to writing music to promoting themselves just like they did in the first season. Sure, at times it does feel like they're just playing the greatest hits, but it never feels like they're going through the motions. And this time, one of the conditions for the yearly LoveLive is that the group has to perform music that has never been heard by anyone ever. So, like any good punk band, idol unit, the girls work together to write some new music. They attempt many things in many different styles, and guess what? Not all of it works out, but that's okay. As anyone who's ever tried to write any music can attest to, it can be easy, but it can also be very hard and take a very long time. Just look at Axl Rose. He spent at least 100 years working on Chinese democracy. Luckily, it didn't take Muse that long to write new music that was culturally more impactful, so I guess you could say that these girls are more talented than Axl Rose? Maybe? Or maybe they could just collab with Axl. Just think about it. Muse could teach Axl about punctuality, and Axl could teach the girls about punching photographers in the face. It would be fun for everyone. And speaking of classic rock legends, there's even an episode where the girls are invited to appear at a Halloween event in Akihabara, so they decide they need to update their look and shock the people.
So let's shock the people.
And then you see it. One of the greatest moments of anime history happens before your very eyes. Muse decide to dress up as the hottest band in the land, Kiss. Wow, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. Nico even picks Ace, which just fits her so well. Good job, best girl. However, they quickly realize that they are not Kiss, and they realize that it's actually more important to be yourself. If you're Kiss, go be Kiss and sell out arenas all over the world. However, if you're an anime idol girl group, maybe you should stick to being an anime idol girl group, because above all else, artistic integrity is important, especially in the world of idols. Furthermore, as the series continues, we see more and more just how dedicated Muse are to building everything together, all for one and one for all. Yeah, we touched on the fact earlier that the whole reason the group was even reforming was to do it together, but come on, this whole season is about the power of friendship. Practically every moment of this anime is about togetherness and helping each other out. Every one of these anime idol girls is in it for the right reasons. They don't care about the fame, they don't care about the money, they don't care about the simps. They just want to end this thing on the right note together. Have you ever went to see some classic band only to find out once you're at the show that the only original member of that classic band is the keyboardist that just sits at the back of the stage and was never that important to begin with? Sure, we've all had that heartbreaking experience. Some music projects are essentially one person with some guest musicians. You're really going to the show to see that one person. You don't care who's behind them, but you're going to have a good time regardless. However, many bands are exactly that. They are bands. You want to see the whole band when you go to see them. Imagine seeing the Wu-Tang Clan with only 2 guys on stage. Imagine seeing Blackpink with only Rose and Lisa on stage. Or imagine going to see Bret Michaels without his bandana and those weird hair extensions. These are all things that no one ever wants to experience. And Muse are very aware of this. And guess what? With Japanese idol groups, it's borderline impossible to end the project with the same group of girls that it started with. This is the genre that birthed AKB48 after all. You know them, right? AKB48 are the most intense Japanese idol group ever. They consist of 48 girls at a time with a member roster that is constantly changing with new trainees and members graduating and members going to the moon and who knows what else. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad move from a business perspective, but in a world full of AKB48 style groups, it's nice to have a few groups like Muse that are dedicated to having the same members throughout their entire idol journey. Now keep in mind we are simply concentrating on the world of the first LoveLive School Idol project here. I am very aware that the LoveLive media empire has spit out tons of groups and subunits and everything else left and right for years now. But the story presented here in this real life documentary, silly little anime, is that of dedication, friendship, and never giving up on your friends. And never giving up on idol music, of course, as well. So, with the girls being so focused on their goal and achieving it, does everything actually pan out for them in the end? Well, I guess you just need to go watch this amazing series and find out for yourself. I seriously loved the first season of this series, but this one might have topped it. While the first part of this epic journey really concentrated on the DIY spirit of forming a band to take over the world, this one expanded on that with deeper character development, more awesome music, and a true glimpse into what it really means to stick to your vision with artistic integrity, no matter what. And let me tell you, so many aging rockers could learn a thing or two from this anime. So yes, LoveLive School Idol Project Season 2 is artistic integrity. And I would argue that it's a perfect work of art in and of itself as well. And trust me, before I watched the first season of this for the first time, I never in a million years thought I would be saying something like this. But here we are. I even placed this anime above some of the older classics because I just enjoyed it that much. At the end of the day, there's a reason this anime is considered an essential part of the idol genre and anime in general, because it's just that good. I know that there is so much more LoveLive out there to spend time with, but it's going to be tough for any of that to top these 2 seasons of idol otaku bliss that I not only experienced, but enjoyed every second of. I wish that every anime made me feel this way at the end of the day, and honestly, I'm sad to see my idol girls leave already because there's so much more that they could achieve in the world. I mean, if Sword Art Online lasted however long it lasted, or maybe it's still going, I don't really care. I think we could have at least got a LoveLive Fights Godzilla special or something, right? But I did just learn something amazing. There's a movie starring the Muse girls. Well, I know what I'm watching right now.